one of my favorite movies when I was a teenager, okay, it's still one of my favorite movies, is the movie Braveheart, which is if you don't know, the highly romanticized telling of the tale of William Wallace, the warrior, patriot, Scottish man who inspired his countrymen to resist the oppression of the English that were trying to colonize them. And there's a point in the movie, I can't remember if he is responding to the French princess that he's managed somehow to fall in love with him, again, highly romanticized, or one of his fellow Scotsmen who's urging him not to do something that is likely to get him killed, and warning him about to do an impression of a Scottish person saying this line. He says, "Every man dies, not every man really lives." And that line really stuck with me. And it reminds me of one of my favorite koans from the Mumonkan. It's actually case number 5, Kyōgen's man up a tree. So I'm going to read the case to you, and then we'll talk about not every man really lives. Master Kyōgen said, "It's like a man up a tree, hanging from a branch by his mouth." So just get that image in your mind for a moment. Actually imagine you are the person in the tree hanging from a branch by your mouth. Their hands cannot grasp a branch. Their feet won't reach a bough. So, and you can't, there's nothing you can do. You're just clamped on with your teeth. Now, suppose there's another person who walks under the tree and asks, and I'm going to just substitute them for you, asks you, so someone walks on the tree and asks you, "What's the meaning of the Bodhidharmas coming from the West?" What is the meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West? So it's a person asking you essentially to give a word about the meaning of life, reality. If you don't respond, you go against the wish of your questioner. If you answer, you're going to lose your life. At such a time, how should you respond? We all have our branches that we're clinging to. So imagine you're actually teeth on that branch. There's no hope of you grabbing it. There's no place for you to put your feet. Imagine that you've been in that position for a while, just trying as best as you can to hold on. Just physically imagine the pain of that action. The more you dig your teeth in, the more you can feel the roots starting to move. Your jaw becomes tight. Your neck starts to hurt. But if you let go, you might die. That's bad enough, and then someone comes and asks for your help. What are you going to do then? Maybe your branch is, a belief about yourself. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough yet. Maybe your branch is something you're holding onto from the past. Maybe it's sort of like it needs to be that way again. Or maybe your branch is, I need to know what's going to happen before I take action. Maybe your branch is, it's not right, shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't be up this tree. Shouldn't have to deal with this. In Zen, we talk about the great matter, the dilemma of life and death. And Zen practice is often spoken about in terms of being liberated from that problem. Well, how do you liberate yourself from the problem of life and death when you've got your teeth in the branch? That is the problem. We hold on for dear life by our teeth. And when we really think about it, we know in our guts that this is just not going to work. You can't sustain that teeth in the branch posture forever. We all know where that's going. We take and repeat our Bodhisattva vows at the end of our sitting periods to save all sentient beings. We can't do that if we're holding on. I remember once hearing a Dharma talk by the late Kyōgen Roshi, who was the guiding teacher of Soji Zen Center. And he said something like, we don't really want liberation. It's scary. We want to have something we think is liberation, but is actually just sort of the solution to being able to stay, like fix our teeth or our jaw in a way that we can just really just stay on that branch forever. And also at the same time be able to do something to help all sentient beings. It's not going to work. So back to William Wallace. We're all hanging from a branch. Every single one of us is going to fall. Spoiler alert. Hopefully we don't get drawn and quartered and disemboweled like William Wallace. But we all know what the end of the story is for every one of us. And to really do something different, no intellectual argument or new way of understanding things or no words that are going to convince you to stop holding on. Your own experience will tell you what needs to happen if you are willing to listen to it. That pain of holding on to whatever it is will tell you what needs to happen. The pain of holding on, the pain of realizing we're grasping to something that must change is sometimes called beginner's mind. Sometimes it's called arousing the way-seeking mind. Dogen called it Hotsu Bodai Shin. It's the gut-level experiential sense of impermanence. That there's nothing we can do to stop that. That's the cause of our suffering. Precisely, actually, the cause of our suffering is the clinging on to the idea that somehow we're going to be able to solve the problem of impermanent, stop cause and effect. So, if you were William Wallace and facing your death, or Nelson Mandela, we have really great, prominent examples of this, or, Joe, or Allison, or Greg, or Carl, or Christina, or Andy, or Debbie, or Kyōgen's person up the tree. What would it take for you to really see into the pain and suffering of holding on and do something different? And notice that as long as you're holding on, you actually can't be any good to anybody else. Remember that there's another person who's at the bottom of the tree asking for help. What's the great matter? What's the secret here about life? You actually can't do anything to help a person like that either until you show them. And then the emphasis is always on facts, experiential facts, beyond language. You can't actually say what it is to be a practitioner of the Buddha way, you have to show it. So I would urge you to look at the branch that you currently have your teeth dug into, and if it seems like something that you absolutely can't let go, also maybe just notice the experience of holding on to it. And I think if you're genuine and honest with yourself about what that experience is like, then maybe something new can happen. Every person lives, or every person dies, not every person really lives. You can find profoundness everywhere if you look. Even sometimes it comes out of the mouth of someone like Mel Gibson.